Hey, what's happening? It is Drew, Sales Playbook Builder, here to take you through the most awesome DIY sales playbook template you have ever seen. And I just want to be your guide along the way to take you through this playbook. So you're probably here because you are tasked either as the founder, the entrepreneur, maybe the new sales leader, to build a sales playbook because you are either aligning your sales team and getting organized, or you're looking to build a sales team from scratch and you're already one step ahead. A lot of people that you're here thinking about a playbook and wanting to know how to put one together. So let's put it together. So I got this awesome template that is free for you to download. You can go over to salesplaybookbuilder.io, and the template is there. There's also another guided tour that you can go into where we can support you on building out your sales playbook. But for here, let's just chat through a sales playbook and see what it's all about. So in this template, we have all the different chapters or elements. Some people have different kind of wording for it, but essentially it's broken up into three groups. I have attract, execute, and scale. So these are the three different elements that I think are essential to a playbook and to a growing and scaling sales playbook. So the first part we're going to be looking at is attract. And first thing you want to put in is your company story. May seem rudimentary, may seem simple, but when you have your sales reps out in the field and they're customer facing, talking with customers, you're going to want them to be the best ambassadors of your company, of your brand, and especially if you're a founder and an entrepreneur, of your passion. I mean, you're the one who's sacrificed a lot. You spend a lot of time working on this business. You have a lot into it. So it's important for your sales reps to be able to articulate that passion in sales conversations. So a great place I would suggest to put like a founding story. So if you haven't written that down or you don't have it anywhere on the website, what I would do is a simple exercise is just record a video of yourself talking about your founding story, that aha moment, your experience, and your really the big why of why you started this company, so that the reps can kind of take that language and use it in sales conversations. I mean, this was one of the best sales tools that I had when I was working with founders as the first sales rep, is watching them in person conducting sales calls and speaking with their ideal customer profiles and their buyer personas. I got to understand the language. I got to understand the nuances. And if you're able to capture that story and why you started the company, it's a great way to, again, get that into your salespeople and your sellers' heads so that they can go ahead and share that passion with prospective buyers. I had a couple examples here, so you can click on through here to see some awesome examples of company stories. Let's click on one of these. So when you're thinking about building out your story, this is a great example. MailChimp, they actually have the founder story in here. So even if you're starting out, or even if you are big, it's always important to have that founding story, because it's a competitive advantage when you're able to properly articulate that founding story, even though you aren't the founder. Also talks a little bit about culture in here. So if you have a particular way that you're conducting the business and that you work with people, that company overview is a great place to put culture. Talks a little bit about giving back. Yeah, you can explore the other examples in here for some inspiration. Definitely want to add in team members so the new sales reps have an idea of who's on the team. And then, of course, your description of what your products and services are. So there's a couple, again, good examples of descriptions in here. You can even take it from your website. So if you have copy already that's on the website, pop it into the Google Doc, just copy and paste it, and you can format it later. The whole idea is to just get this built so you have a starting place to document your sales process and your sales playbook. Next, you want to add in pricing and features. So you can link to a pricing plan, or if you have a on the website, you can just put it into here to make it nice and simple for the sales reps. One source of truth, so that they have everything. They're not having to look around and find it in a bunch of different places. We're here to bring everything together in one sales playbook. Some inspiration from Bill and Trello in there. Oh, I was going to mention too, in plans, pricing and features. Also, just a little tip is add in a section around discounts. So a lot of times when you're running the show, you can kind of give out discounts or special deals, special onboarding. You can take this fee away, take that fee away. But when you have sales reps and you're looking to grow a repeatable process, what you want to do is create some constraints around what discounting is. So if you have a policy around not-for-profit discounts, put that in here. And if you don't offer discounts, then put that in here, because what's going to happen is it's one of the first things in that first few weeks of selling. Your sellers are going to come to you and ask about all these special cases where people want a discount, or if they can bring it down 10% to get them over the line, or an end of the month special. So think through some discounts that you offer and add them in here to give some flexibility for the sales reps, if that's what you want to offer them. So a couple different battle cards you can create. We have feature benefit battle cards. You can also, I don't have it in this particular template, but you can create competitor battle cards too. So battle cards are really the snippets that sales reps can use in conversation. That are really concise, they're to the point, and they give the sales rep the ammo, essentially, or the wording to really talk about a feature or a benefit, or talk about a particular competitor. So what you want to do is think about what is maybe, let's say, 3 main core features of the your product or service, and then you can add the benefits in here. So the sales reps can easily rhyme off when they're talking to buyers, the features and benefits of your product and service. It's also a great place to put in case studies and testimonials. So these could be formal. They could be written up in a PDF. You could link out to any testimonials that you have on the website or case studies. Alternatively, you can also just have customer stories. So these could be really just like 2 or 3 sentences of feedback that you've got from existing customers. So that your reps are able to use that social proof in sales conversations, whether they're speaking to somebody or using it in written communication through email or LinkedIn, that sort of thing. If you have a competitive analysis, great. Again, this is like a full template. And if you have some of these things, put it in. If you don't have it and you want to build it out, then build it out. And if you just don't have a competitive analysis at the moment, that's fine. Just kind of remove this part and add that to your to-do list for next quarter. So competitive analysis could be a really simple table, just saying, here's our 3 competitors, here's where we win, here's where we don't win, and kind of here's some talking points of when we do speak about those particular competitors. Cool. So we're still in Attract. Again, the 3 foundational elements: attract, execute, and scale. So now we're talking about our ideal customer profile. So we know a little bit about the company now, where it came from, pricing, all that sort of thing. That's great. But what's really important, and I would argue most important, is understanding who that ideal customer profile is and the different buyer personas. So what you start with is a target company profile. So this is with your industry, geography, team size, all that sort of thing. And then what you want to do is really drill down to buyer personas. So if you're selling to one particular person, really describe that person in great detail. I've even seen buyer personas like with a name, like give that person a name, give them demographics, give them a place to live, to add some personality, because we are selling to people, right? We're in the business of selling our products and services, but we're still talking to people and human beings. So some suggestions, again, with your buyer personas. So if you are selling to a VP of sales in a Fortune 500 company, then let's be as detailed as possible when we're describing that buyer persona. So this particular VP of sales is Drew, the VP of sales. He lives in Ottawa, and a day in his life is da 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 da. The current environment is I'm managing my sales team. Everybody's remote, so we got to kind of change that up a little bit. And again, you can provide examples, any challenges and pains. Just again, go as deep as you can in these, and it could just be point form, but what you want to do is give your sales reps insights and nuances that you have into your customers so that they can ramp up and have sales conversations faster. Cool. So we're moving on from attract. Now we're into execute. So now we're executing our sales process. And I call it sales process, but at the end of the day, again, we got to think of our ideal customer profile and our buyer personas. And so we have to think of their buying journey. And so what we're doing is facilitating a buying journey for our buyers through our sales process. So I've got a couple examples here, just an example funnel and sales process. But what you want to do here is think about from prospecting, qualifying, discovery, demo booked to closed won. What does that pipeline and funnel look like for you? So you can use these descriptions as inspiration. You can add in your own. You can just leave it here if you want. But this is where you think of your sales process. And if you think you don't have a sales process, I would argue that you probably do. If you've sold something, there's a sales process. You've taken somebody through a process. So if you don't know what it is right now, take out a piece of paper and literally just write it down from start to finish. Think of your last couple of customers and say, okay, how did they find us? How did I check to see if that they're qualify them to be a buyer? And how did I present our product and solution to them? And then how do we get them over the line to close? Literally just write that out in steps, and that's what goes in here. Then we can dig a little bit deeper into the sales process. So the sales process toolkit is showing the different stages, but also in a little bit more detail. So what we've done is link to some qualification checklists, some nurture sequences, discovery calls. So this is where your sales rep can take what your sales process is and really dig deep into it to understand what happens at each particular stage. Cool. So we're still executing. Now we're on the discovery and demo. Could be sales meetings, could be stakeholder meeting, could be proposal meeting. But what we're doing here is having those sales conversations, and we're starting to sell. So again, I've got some templates in here that you can use. But what you want to do is think about when you're going to these sales meetings, what are you going to do before those sales meetings? So this is the pre-call research. And then how are you structuring these meetings, whether it's a discovery, demo, or a sales meeting? What you want to do here is just like create a framework that you do and that somebody else can replicate. And it's important to think through how you conduct your sales meetings and sales presentations, discovery calls, demo calls, and outline it here so that somebody else can pick this up and go replicate it. And now we get into some nitty gritty. So now we have the flow of it. Now we want to get into a little bit detail about what the script is. And so these can be scripts. Some people call them flows. Some people call them inspiration. But what you want to do is get some words down on paper about what you actually say and what the goals you have in these particular meetings. So someone can pick this up again because what we're trying to do is get our sales reps ramped up faster, selling and having sales conversations sooner than later. So the more information, the better information that you can enable them with, the better chances that they're going to have for success. I've added some suggested fact-finding questions in here. If you have questions that you typically ask in sales calls, add them in here. The other piece that's really important in discovery and demos and having sales conversations is common objections. So you probably have a lot of objections that you overcome, and they're probably buried in your head somewhere. But what you want to do is put them in a table here, add in your objections on the left-hand side, and then what the suggested response is on the right-hand side. So you can remove what's in here. You can keep these. You can add some rows in here to add in your objections and overrides or responses. So we did that with the discovery. Now we're going to do the same thing with the demo call. So anytime you have a sales meeting, what you want to do is break them down. So if you have a discovery call and a demo call, break them down each, have a framework for them, have some scripts, have some objections, and have some next steps. If you have a demo, same thing. If you have a stakeholder meeting where you're bringing multiple people in, same thing. Each meeting should have their own toolkit that has the process, the outline, some frameworks, and some objection handling. A couple pieces around demo, which is like our sales meeting. So in these sales meetings, typically what we're doing is handing off to somebody. So if we do get a new sale, what you want to do is make sure your sales reps know what to do once someone is like, yep, we're ready to sign up. What's that handoff look like? So it's nice and smooth for the buyer, and also so that the seller knows what to do and it's nice and easy for them. They don't get stuck at that point. Cool. So still into execute. Now we're talking about communicating. And this is all about phone calls, emails, spoken meetings, like LinkedIn, all this sort of thing. So here's a couple examples of templates that you should considering have in your sales playbook. So depending on your sales motion, everyone's a little bit different. Sometimes there's a sales inbound sales motion where people are filling out a form or downloading a lead magnet. And you have an inbound product-led growth strategy. Some people are doing outbound prospecting. Some people are conference trade shows. Lots of different go-to-market strategies. So whatever that is, create some templates around that so that your new reps can be aligned with using the same language and just copy and paste and use it for their own sales activities. A couple examples of email sequences in here just to get you started. And finally, which is the third element. So we talked about attract, execute, and scale. So finally, we're talking about scale. And this is kind of next step. And if you are looking to scale that, scale your team and scale the playbook, you might want a little bit of support in that, because there's a little bit more that happens as you're building up the team and scaling it out. But what I put in here is a people plan. So thinking about who the next hire is and what your process is and where you're going to be plugging in people. And so the easiest thing and most simple thing to get started with having a people plan of who to hire and when to hire is really just thinking about what your sales team structure is currently. So write out your process, who's involved in the sales process, and then think about who that next hire is. Could be your a sales researcher, could be an SDR, sales development rep, could be a business development rep, could be an account executive, could be a full cycle sales rep. And then you can add in a couple job descriptions, compensation, and if you do have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan, add that in here. All right, so that's a wrap. Appreciate you stopping in and going through the playbook with me. Like I said, I'm going to link up the template and link below. It's at salesplaybookbuilder.io. And I hope you have an awesome time building. And if you need any help, I'm always here to help you move a little bit faster if you wanted to get that playbook moving this quarter. All right. Talk to you soon.